Today's video I'm doing, the title is Does Joby Serve God? Joby Johns. And again, it has the passage from Malachi. So you will again distinguish between the righteous and the wicked, between one who serves God and one who does not serve him. So, like hindsight is 2020. I remember a lot of things about a lot of different people, and Joby sticks out to me, so I want to have this video about Joby. And when I think about Joby, I often cry, and it doesn't matter what day of the month it is or where I'm at in my cycle and my hormones and my feelings. When I think about Joby, I get emotional. So it's not anything like hormone related. This is how I feel towards Joby every day of the month. So I want to start off by saying that. So yeah, Joby serves. The short answer, does Joby serve God? Yes, Joby does serve God. So here, Joby serves. Joby is probably deacon of the century. I would say Joby and then probably Mitchell. I think Mitchell was deacon of the century. He might not have been, there might not have been, other titles where he performed that role commendably, but in regards to deacon, he was a great deacon. I can acknowledge that. I can see that. I can observe that, which makes Mark's lack of care towards him all the more offensive, that he was a great deacon, and in his time of need, when I reached out to you, you didn't give a shit. You didn't give a shit. So if you didn't care about Mitchell's soul, and he's like one of your best deacons, and he's doing all this work for you, if you didn't care for him, there was no hope that you had genuine care and concern for the souls of others. Joby, deacon of the century. Also, so when we went on mission trips, there's, the TSA line, there's airport check-in. So on mission trips, Joby stayed with the herd to make sure we all made it through the gate, while selfish people like Edgar used services like Clear to skip the long lines and take ease at some credit card lounge. There are other ways in which Edgar serves God, and I don't think he's like this. I don't think he's actually selfish. I'm just trying to make a joke. So Joby has the money. He could have purchased Clear Pass and skip the lines and have that form of ease and comfort, but rather than doing that, he denied himself and would rather serve others to make sure that we all got through. If we needed help, he could assist. He stayed with the herd and made sure that we were all, we didn't run into any troubles, we didn't have any difficulty. He stayed behind and made sure that we all made it through. So I remember Joby doing that when we would, going on mission trips. He would stay with the herd through the check-in process. And also Joby serves the lost. That was his motive for learning Spanish, was so that he could have gospel conversations in Spanish. He would be able to speak to someone in their language. He didn't want that barrier of language to keep someone from eternal life. So it's like he tore down that wall and he's like, I'm going to learn Spanish. And he learned Spanish for the purpose of being able to speak to others. So Joby serves. He uses his intellect in service to God. Here's a picture I took of Joby when we were in Guatemala. We were evangelizing and handing out tracts and, doing the usual stuff. And I looked over and I saw Joby kind of standing by himself in the shade, and I just really liked it, so I took that picture of Joby. Also, Joby has a perseverance of he's able to labor despite physical discomfort and physical illness. It doesn't, physical sufferings don't keep him from serving. This is when we were in Guatemala, and during this trip, the guys were staying at a hostel, and by this day, they all had like dysentery of some kind, or the stomach flu, or some bug, and I think Ryan even had to like stay, he didn't even like leave one day, and Rick had to bring him toast and bananas and applesauce. He's like, Brat's diet, I got this. I know. I'll take care of you, Ryan. So at this point, it's like even just look at the look on Joby's face. Miserable, dying, feeling awful. Probably can't keep down food, can't keep down water. Physically weak. And yet when it's time to play the guitar, he's there playing the guitar for worship. The show must go on. Joby's able to persevere physically and do what needs to be done despite physical illness and sickness, and he doesn't complain. Also, when I was learning piano and I wasn't that good, there was a fellowship at the Davidsons for Christmas, and I was like, I want to play a hymn on the piano. And I asked Joby, I was like, Joby, you want to be a part of my Christmas performance? And he agreed to be in my Christmas performance, and I wasn't that good, and I made mistakes, but he was willing to play guitar while I played my little song on the piano. And when I messed up, he just kind of paused and waited until I kind of got it back together, and he knew where to pick back up on the guitar. So that was very meaningful to me. That that might have been embarrassing for other people. It's like, look at stupid Rebecca playing this dumb song on the piano, and she's not very good, and she's messing up. I don't want to be associated with that. But Joby was willing to play guitar and be a part of my Christmas performance at the Davidsons Christmas Fellowship. I also have this picture when we went to Guatemala, and this was when they were going out evangelizing, and I stayed back because this was the new building that they had rented. This is the sign that they have, and they wanted me to paint stuff on the door. So this is why I was with them, but it's a cool picture. The good old days. So they were going out witnessing. They dropped me off at the shop, the site, and then when they dropped me off, they had to lock me in for my safety, because it's like, we don't want to leave you like here by yourself with this gate open. So they like put me behind the gate, and they locked me behind that gate so that I could do the painting work. And I wrote, I think it says welcome in Spanish on the door. But that was fun when they dropped me off and they had to lock me in for my protection. Yeah. Also, there's like other pictures where it's just kind of like memories. It's not really anything about Joby's character, but there's this cool picture of Edgar and Joby that I took, and I was trying to get the angle right, and then after I finally got the shot, I think Gabby was taking pictures of me taking their pictures, and this is how this is what I made them do in order to get the perfect shot so that I could get the mountains in the back. They had to kneel down, and I had to take the photo from that angle. So that's, I think Gabby took that picture of me taking their picture. But Joby's willing to play the part, take the photos, how do you want me to pose? Okay, I'll do it. In order to get the shot. Yeah, down for pictures. So here's a second trip to Guatemala. The first one was in 2017. Esther wasn't on that one. She went on the one in 2018. So this was on the one in 2018, and we were exploring somewhere, and we saw this shoe polishing bench. So me and Esther were like, let's get on the shoe polishing bench, and Joby, pretend like you're polishing our shoes. So he kneeled down and took the form of a servant, started to pretend like he's polishing our shoes. So he's down for pictures, and he's down to play the part that we need him to play in our pictures. He's willing to oblige. So also, here's a picture of us at the airport, me, Esther, and Joby. And I really like this picture, so I included it. And there was one time when, on this trip, I forget what, so we got somewhere, I forget the circumstance, but I wanted to go exploring. So I was like, Joby, let's go exploring. I don't know Spanish. I don't know the path and the ins and outs. So I wanted to go exploring. So I needed Joby to be my guide. So I was like, Joby, will you come with me? I want to go exploring. He's like, sure, yeah, let's go. So it's me and Joby, and we're walking around by ourselves, and we're looking at, just going down different streets, looking at the shops, and there's like this one hole in the wall, and it's like when we're walking and I look in, it's like, it looks like there's like some stationery stuff. So I was like, ooh, stationery, that looks interesting. So caught my eye, like moth to a flame. So I go in, and it's like all stationery in this hole in the wall place. It's not even like there was signage. We just kind of stumbled upon it, and then I'm in there, and I'm like, oh, stationery. And then I was like, Joby, we have to go back and get Esther. She needs to see this. I can't be here by myself without her. She's gonna want to see this, Joey. We have to go back and get her and bring her here. I can't partake of this store without her. I'm not going to betray my friend like that. If I come back with a bag of stationery goodies, Esther's going to be like, Reeves, why didn't you come get me? So I was like, Joey, we have to go back and get Esther. So we went back, and I'm sure Joby didn't care a flying flip about the stationery. It's like, what's so great about this stationery? I'm pretty sure we have stationery in the US. Why are you losing your mind over these pencils? He didn't ask questions. I was excited. He was excited. So we get back, and I don't know what the other people were doing. I just remember Esther was sitting on a bench at the end of a table, and I kind of walk up, like if this is the bench and Esther's here, I kind of like walk on this side, but Joby like walks around. Maybe she was like facing this person, but he gets in her eyesight, and he's like, guess what, Esther? She's like, what, Joby? He's like, we found a stationery store. And Esther's like, ooh, nah. And Joby's like, yeah, it's stationery. So he's able to like embrace the energy. He's willing. It's like if I'm rejoicing over something and Esther's rejoicing over something, he's not no Debbie Downer. He's like, these girls get jacked on stationery. I'm not going to rain on their parade. I'm going to get hyped up too. I might not see what the big deal is, but these girls obviously love it. So Esther, stationery. Yeah, no shit. No shit, Esther. You have to come see it. Follow me. I know the way. So, we ran into a stationary cave of wonders, and he kind of embraced that energy. He embraced that joy. Even though it might not be his thing, it's like he's willing to, it's like it brought him joy to see us, we were excited about, the stationary cave, and that brought him joy, seeing that we were glad. It's like, well, that made him glad. And I bet if, I don't think we actually bought anything from that store, but I think if, hindsight, if we had found stuff that we wanted and we were like, Joby, we only have American cash. We haven't, converted it to, quetzals. We don't have Guatemalan cash. Joby, can you cover us, Joby, for our pencils? We haven't exchanged our money yet, Joby. Would you be, willing to cover us for our pencils? I think he would immediately. I don't think he wouldn't ask any questions. I don't think he would even ask, like, why do you need two of everything? I think he would just go through his little bag, dig through his money, be like, American, my Bitcoin wallet, and then, okay, Guatemalan, and he would pull out his money and he would just buy it for us. Yeah, ladies, if this is what makes you happy, of course I can buy your stationery. I got you. I think he would have covered for us. So that was fun. Yep, so that's a way that Joby serves God. He was willing to be my Spanish guide when I wanted to go on a venture in Guatemala. Yeah. There was also a time when we were on that flight and we had a layover. And that was when Richie came with us, and he had his passport was from Ecuador. So when he got off the plane, he needed escorts to take him from that gate to the other gate. And then there was like issues. People were like doing their own stuff, and like they were boarding, and I was the only one there, and I was starting to panic. And I'm like, I don't speak Spanish. I don't want to get left. I don't want other people to get left. And I started to like worry. And then, because I didn't know where anyone was at, we were at the gate, and they're like, stay here. I'm gonna go get this and come back. But then they're like, last call, and I'm like starting to panic, and I'm like trying to talk to the lady. There's a language barrier. And then I saw Joby walking up, and it's like the moment that I saw Joby walking up, it was like this blanket of peace. I'm like, if Joby's here, it's gonna be fine. He can speak Spanish. Even if we miss this flight, he's gonna be able to manage stuff. We're not gonna be left high and dry. Like if Joby's here, he'll take care of, stuff. If I'm deserted at an airport, if I'm deserted at an airport by myself, well, that's a lot different than being deserted at an airport with Joby. So it was very comforting when I saw him. I was like, great, Joby's here. If he's here, we'll be okay. So, also one time Joby left his bag at my house. I have this scene from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days where they're talking about the woman's purse. That's how I view Joby's bag. So when he left it at my house, I'm like, Joby left his bag here. And typically I'm interested in people. Like if I go to a house and they have like bookcases, like I want to observe everything that's in plain view. Like I like knowing people. So it's like by observing like what they have on their bookcase and stuff, like I like knowing people. But I'm not a snoop. But like if Joby left his bag there, it's like it was tempting. It's like what does Joby have in this bag? But yeah, one time he left his bag at my house. I didn't snoop, but when I went to go give it back to him, when I picked it up from like the floor to my car, it's not like I grabbed the handle. It's like I grabbed the bag. I'm gonna pick up this bag, put it in my car, and then when I pick it up to go give it back to him, I'm gonna, here you go, Joby, try to feel what do you have in that bag. Yeah, one time he left his bag at my house. There was only one other time where I was tempted to like snoop through someone else's like personal stuff, and that was when Ryan left me alone in his car with his journal/diary. Ooh, and that was when we were courting. It's when we went to G3 with the group and we stayed at the hotel. And then I think it was when we were leaving the hotel on the last day. So we were like packing up the car. I was in the passenger seat and he was like doing some final stuff and he like left to go get something. And I'm waiting for him. And I look over and on the center console, he has like a journal. And it's like different than a notebook. It was like kind of specifically like journal-esque. It wasn't, I could tell it was like a journal or a diary. It wasn't just like a notebook. That was probably the biggest temptation of me to like snoop into someone's like personal space without their permission, was when Ryan left his diary in his car with me. And I'm just like looking at it. And it was when we were dating, and it was like, yeah, don't talk about your feelings or thoughts or anything. So it was like hyper tempting, you know, when he left his diary in the car with me. And it's like, as soon as he came back and he like opened the back door, I was like, Ryan, you left your diary. Get it out of my sight. Take it. You left this here. I was like, I didn't look. And he was thankful that I didn't look. Yeah, so when Jobby left his bag at my house, I was tempted to snoop, but I didn't. And the only other time I was tempted to snoop through someone's personal stuff was when Ryan left me alone in his car with his diary. But I didn't look. Here's more pictures of Jobby serving. Again, evangelizing in Guatemala. And this is him translating for Edgar. I think Edgar was preaching and teaching in Spanish, and he was translating for the English people. So again, serving. Here's more pictures from the flight. I like the one of them in the back with Rick and his coffee and his neck pillow. So more pictures from those trips of Jobby. Also, Jobby is wise. I remember during the August 6th stuff and that conflict and the confusion and everyone's, you know, saying this, saying that. There's just an outpouring of public airing of grievances, just chaos, confusion. I just remember hearing Jobby repeatedly say, I want to hear the facts. I want to hear the facts. If you want to tell me something, I want to hear the facts. And looking back, I was like, that was really wise of Jobby. Because I kind of gave ear to a lot of stuff. I mean, I had my own experience, but I also took in testimony from other people, you know, what they observed, what they heard, and their interpretation of that, where it's like you're also taking in their interpretation of what they heard, what they saw, how they viewed it. So I think looking back, I think my reasons were valid, but also I think there was things that I received that weren't valid. I think my ears were too open to what other people were saying. I think that's the downfall when you're like typically an honest person. You wouldn't think that other people would like lie. So it's like, why wouldn't I believe them? If you're honest, you kind of believe other people are honest. So it's like you're going to give ear to everything that they say. So I think that was one of the areas that I had to grow in wisdom myself, is to not believe everything you hear. Don't believe all things. The naive believe everything and are ruined for it. So I'm at the point now where it's like, I believe what I have experienced for myself, what I've observed. Other people's testimony, it's like, I'm probably not going to believe you. You're going to have to validate it somehow. I've just seen how pervasive smear campaigns can be. And also people's perception. Well, you know, it's like you perceive that to be evil. Like, I did a good work. You perceive that to be evil. Well, if you're speaking evil about another person, how can I trust your judgment? So you kind of just see how maybe people's judgments aren't as reliable as you once thought, and you kind of have to, and instead of trusting in all these other people for their wisdom and their discernment, it's like you kind of have to grow in wisdom, discernment yourself, and come to your own conclusions and be responsible for your own conclusions and the own decisions you make, and things like that. So looking back, I remember Jobby saying that, you know, I want to hear the facts. So I think that is really wise of Jobby. Also, Jobby isn't one to like, I'm sure if you asked him, hey Jobby, what's your view on this? He would clearly tell you what his view is, and it would be a reliable testimony of himself. But it's not like he offers that to everyone. It's like, if if people are going to receive something, like if people aren't asking you for your opinion, well, if you speak it, they're probably not going to receive it. You can't force people to receive something, so it's like people have to ask. You're kind of like wasting your breath if you're like speaking to people who never even asked what your opinion was. It's like, well, if they valued your insight, they would ask you of their own accord. So that's like another thing. I don't like have remembrance of Jobby just speaking of himself to make a point. Yeah. Yeah, I think Jobby is wise. So like looking back at like the character and nature of Jobby, it's like he is just perpetually giving and serving everyone, and I feel like he's one of the people that kind of goes unnoticed, and there's not a lot of thought given to Jobby about serving Jobby or giving to Jobby or being interested in what he's interested in. He's always running around, fixing stuff at the church, but he's very thoughtful towards others, but I don't think others are thoughtful towards him. And at least in myself, that's kind of, I don't think I've been like thoughtful or mindful towards Jobby. He's kind of reserved and quiet and goes unnoticed, and he doesn't complain or anything. So, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, Jobby doesn't speak out when he's like bothered or upset, or at least from what I've witnessed. So, but there's this one instance where I have like guilt and remorse towards Jobby, and it has to do with Jobby and playing games. I don't know if it was on this date specifically with the game that we were playing. I remember us playing it on the coffee table. So here we're sitting at the dining table, and Jobby is shuffling cards, and we're playing some kind of game. But I don't think this is the day that I have in mind. There was one time where Jobby, we're at this fellowship. We had service in the morning. We go to fellowship, we eat. So now it's like that afternoon post-lunch kind of slump where it's like our body's processing all this sugar and we're kind of getting sleepy. And that's when Jobby like whips out this game that he wants to play. And it was a game that we weren't familiar with, and it had a lot of rules, and it was mentally taxing, and it was one of those games where it was like we got to the point where it was like we didn't care anymore. We just wanted it to be over. And at least like for myself, like looking back, I can recognize that I could have applied my mind more to understand the game, to understand the rules and how to play it. But like looking back, I kind of recognize in myself a level of apathy, of like not caring, of like I'm tired right now. I don't want to put forth the effort to apply myself to this activity that Jobby wants to do. Jobby wants to play this game, and it's requiring a lot of mental strength, and I'm tired, and I just don't feel like it's worth it for me to exert the energy mentally to focus and to apply myself with this game that he wants to play. So I have like a lot of remorse over that, where it's like Jobby asks for nothing, and this is probably like one way where I could have served Jobby. I could have done good to Jobby in this. I could have used my strength to serve him. He's always using his strength to serve others, and here's like this one opportunity looking back where it's like I had the ability to bring Jobby joy with the use of like my mental strength, and it's like I chose not to. And I know that is like seemingly a small thing, and we were all, everyone else was tired too. But I have like a lot of remorse and guilt over that. So that's why I cry when I think about Jobby, because he's always serving others, and it's like he doesn't require anything from anyone, and it's like this one opportunity where it's like he wants to play a game, and it's like it's too complicated, Jobby, we're not doing it. And it's like I probably had the ability to like learn the game and like play it with him, and bring him joy with this activity. So that's why recently, Jobby, I had texted you. I was asking you, do you like fractals? That's kind of in regards to something else. And then I was asking, are there any board games you have an interest in playing, but you don't have competition, like chess? So I felt remorse that, because it can be kind of lonely when you're intelligent and you enjoy like board games and strategy, or having conversations of like higher level thinking, and it's like you don't have a companion that is kind of like on par with you to partake in that activity or have that conversation. And I could like looking back to that game, it's like, man, I could have stepped up and been a friend to Jobby in that, and I didn't. So that's why I was asking you, are there any board games you have an interest in playing but don't have competition, or someone to play with? Also talked to him about a Spanish book that he recommended for him to learn Spanish with. So Jobby, that's why I was asking you about board games, because I feel bad about that time that you wanted to play that game at Fellowship and I didn't apply myself and participate in a way that I could have. So I feel bad about that, Jobby. And then like thinking more about Jobby, and we have, I think it was in like maybe January, what's that text? Okay, yep, February 1st, I was talking about board games. So then I realized, I was like, Jobby's birthday's coming up. I don't remember anyone ever really doing anything for Jobby for his birthday, and his birthday is on February 14th, I believe. Mine's on the 13th, so that's why I was like, I want to bless Jobby for his birthday. His birthday's coming up, I want to bless him. So how did I bless him for his birthday? Well, I was thinking through how Jobby's wise. Jobby likes wisdom. Jobby's intelligent. So for his birthday, I got him a Catholic Bible with Apocrypha. And it was like a journaling Bible. And in that Bible, I wrote out evidence for why Sirach is inspired. And then I put in Old Testament and New Testament cross-references for the book of Sirach. And then I added commentary notes also to it. And I've been into like stickers and pens and stationery and letters and envelope seals. So with my sticker collection, I had Valentine's Day stickers, February 14th. So I included those in the Bible. And then there were some gem-themed stickers, and because the Bible talks about, searching for wisdom as jewels and precious stones. There were stickers that were gem related, and some of them said like, "You're a gem." I do think Jobby's a gem. So I decorated the Bible with Valentine's Day stickers and "You're a gem." And when I made it, it's like I was able to recognize like, this could be interpreted one of two ways. And I felt like Jobby had enough history to where he could interpret it the right way. But I was like, you know what? There's a lot of rumors going around. This also has the potential to be interpreted a completely different way. So when I made it, it was like, I don't know how Jobby is going to interpret this. It's going to go one of two ways. Jobby, I don't know what you even did with that Bible. If you opened it, if you read it, how you interpreted it. I just left it at his porch. I don't know how he interpreted it when he got it and what he thought about it. But yeah, that's what I made for him for his birthday. I got him a Catholic Bible with Apocrypha. I wrote evidence for why Sriracha is inspired, and I had, all these Old Testament and New Testament cross references and commentary notes, and decorated with Valentine's Day stickers because Joey's birthday is on Valentine's Day, and you're a gem. So I don't know how he interpreted that, if he thought it was like a romantic gesture or anything more than like friendly affections and like brotherly love. But it was, from my side, it was just platonic, friendly, brotherly love with flair. So I'm sorry, Joby, if the Valentine's Day stickers or the Apocrypha text or the You're a Gem thing was a hindrance for you receiving that in the way that I intended it. But that, hopefully this video gives more insight to why I gave you that birthday gift. So I hope you're doing okay. I do think you're a gem and that you're wise, and I hope you appreciated the wisdom. So and there was more I was gonna write, but during that week I had to process an event. But in the Bible I wrote, if you want me to add more, you can just give the Bible back and I'll add more, and I'll give it back to you. Because I had planned on writing more, but I ran out of time. But I wanted to give it to you for your birthday, so I wasn't able to include as much as I had wanted to. So, but I mean, that could be good news for Mark if Mark wants to receive wisdom and insight through a back door, and it's like, well, he can't do that with Ryan anymore because now I'm just making videos public. Well, Mark, maybe you can use Joby and his spell book that I crafted for him. You could maybe order him to give that Bible back to me and say that he wants me to write more commentary notes in it, and I could do that for Joby. So that might be one way that you can get more information out of me if I've stopped doing it through Ryan. You don't have that door anymore. Well, maybe you can use Joby in the same way that you used Ryan. Also, Joby, are you still looking for a close companion of the female variety? I think you're a catch, Joby. I think any Christian woman would be blessed to have you as their companion of the male variety, as a husband. So if you're still looking for a close companion of the female variety, consider my friend Rachel. This is Rachel. This is pictures of Rachel. She's a teacher at a Christian high school. And here's a picture of her standing by some door. And you might not trust my affirmation of her. Well, someone in your vicinity can tell you more about her. They probably know more about her than I know about her, and you might trust their judgment more than mine on this day. So you could, there's someone in your vicinity that can tell you more about her if you're interested. And then you might ask, well, they had like gotten to know them. But you might ask, well, like, what's wrong with her? If this person gotten to know her and it's like he didn't move forward with her, well, what's wrong with her that caused this other brother to not want to move forward with her? I don't think it was anything in her. I think it was something in that other person where maybe he was looking for something specific and she just wasn't that person. Boom. It was like right after we broke up that he was getting to know her, and I was looking at pictures and I was like, it looks like you have a type, Ryan. I don't think it was anything in her that made him not want to move forward with her. I think the only problem was that she wasn't me. But if Ryan disagrees, he can tell me. That was my thought at that time. But if that wasn't the case, well, I can't see Ryan's heart. That's just my thoughts at this point. That he was looking for another me, and another me doesn't exist. So you're not going to find one. Even though we look kind of similar and we have similar names and we have the same taste in scarves. She's not me. I think that's the only problem with her. If that wasn't the case, Ryan, you can tell me. But right now, Ryan is mute and he doesn't speak. So that's going to be my current judgment until you correct it. I think that's why Ryan didn't move forward with her. So, Jobby, if you're interested, I would reach out quick and lock it in before that pathetic, no good, single, relatively wealthy, 45-year-old loser, physically fit, honorable, never even engaged piece of crap, Sigma male has second thoughts and becomes your competition. So this is the descriptions of all these adverbs, adjectives against Ryan, or for Ryan, or on behalf of Ryan. Different things from different people. People have made different comments about Ryan. This is what it includes my perspective of Ryan, and it includes the perspective of other people about Ryan. And some people think that he's no good. He's pathetic. You should pity him. That he's never even been engaged, and that makes him a piece of crap. Yeah, so I would reach out quick. He might have second thoughts towards Rachel and want to maybe rekindle that. Maybe he's learned some lessons and it's like, you know what, Rachel was really kind and nice and gracious and soft-hearted towards me, and yeah, she would make a great wife. I should circle back to that and see if she would be interested in, I don't know, continuing the friendship or something. So Jobby, if you're interested, I would reach out quick before Ryan has second thoughts and he becomes your competition, and now you have to compete for Rachel with Ryan. Pictures of me and Ryan. When we were dating, it was his preference that I didn't post anything on social media, and I submitted to that. But now, looking back, it's like, well, my preference was to share everything on social media. I wanted to scream it at the mountaintop that I was courting this man. And it wasn't his preference, but it was my preference. So now I don't give a flying flip what Ryan's preference was. I wanted to. So that's why I'm sharing all this stuff now. What's Ryan doing in that picture? Well, with the pen, he's drawing a picture to coordinate with the poem that he wrote me. That was one thing we did when we started courting. We wrote each other poems with artwork associated with it. I don't remember any words of his poem, surprisingly. You would think that I would remember, I would have it like memorized and put to music at this point. I don't remember much about his poem. Maybe he still has it. I don't know. I remember mine. I don't remember the words, but I remember it had to do with hands, his hands and my hands, and we did handprints on the page, and I got paint, and his was like red and mine was blue, or maybe mine was pink and his was blue. My poem had to do with hands. I don't remember much about his poem. So, yeah. Yeah, and then I included these texts again from this cartoon character, Lindsay, where if people want to know, like, where the never even engaged piece of shit, where that adjective came from, it came from her, where she was saying, I'm embarrassed to be going through my second divorce, but 45 and never even engaged? I feel sorry for him. What a loser. So some people think he's a loser for those things. That's cool if you think he's a loser for that. I don't think he's a loser for that. That might not be your taste, but I don't take offense to that. This is how I responded to them when I made the video convo from Facebook Messenger Part 2, manipulation tactics. I sent it to them, and then I said, respectfully, and then the bird. From what I've seen, that's the rule. If you just put respectfully, you can say whatever type of disrespectful thing you want to say. But if you add the preface respectfully, well, that makes it clean. That makes it respectful. So if you just, respectfully, and then you can just like tear someone apart, disrespect them, treat them with contempt. It's all good as long as you say respectfully. That makes it respectful. So that's what I did. Respectfully, and then I flipped them the bird. I don't think I'm disrespecting a person because this person is not a person, they're a cartoon character. I don't think this person's real. I think it's a man doing like a digital form of transgender, catfishing me, presenting themselves as a woman. But I don't even think it's a woman. I think it's a man. And I think it's the equivalent of if like a man was to cross-dress in public and wear feminine clothes and present themselves as a female. I think that's what this person did digitally. So that's why when I like disrespect them, it's not like I'm disrespecting an actual person. It's just this crafted cartoon character. So I don't think Lindsay actually exists. I don't think there's a person that is a nurse that went through 2 traumatizing divorces that Mark was there for. If that person exists, I'm willing to be proved wrong, but as it is, no, I don't think this is actually a real person. So it's not like I'm disrespecting a real person. So I mentioned how Ryan's a Sigma male. Jobby is a Sigma male also. And here's a picture of Jobby, and I think it's a really cool picture of Jobby with his sunglasses and his bag. I think those sunglasses look good on him. I've seen Ryan in sunglasses, and I've never seen Ryan wearing sunglasses that look good on him. But these look good on Jobby. He can pull it off. I haven't seen Ryan pull off sunglasses that look good on him. People might ask, well, what's a Sigma male? Here's a picture that I found. It says sociosexual hierarchy. I don't know about like sexual, what they mean by that. Maybe it just means the male gender. So a Sigma is kind of like an alpha. Here it says the Sigma and alpha are equal. However, the Sigma male sits outside of the hierarchy by his own choice. So that's kind of what a Sigma male is. It's like, just as like respectable as the alpha, but you're like a lone wolf. You have like lone wolf energy. And here it says like it's the Sigma is equal to an alpha, but personally I think Sigma males are greater than alpha males. I think Ryan and Jobby are both Sigma males. Yep, Sigma males are greater than alpha males. So I feel like Sigmas have like slight disadvantages that make success in the conventional hierarchy difficulty. Like, I think Ryan and Jobby are both, like, their appearances are attractive, but there's a sense where it's like it's unconventional. It's not like they're like conventionally attractive. There's like a slight skew. They're like unconventionally attractive. So it's like, or there's like an awkwardness or a nerdiness or like something where it's like you don't fit in with the norm. So it's like if you have like a disadvantage where you're not conventionally pleasing in some way to the majority of people, well, with that disadvantage, it like forces you to, it's like the hopes of gaining authority through the conventional hierarchy, it's like it's not going to happen. So, yeah, you have slight disadvantages that make success in the conventional hierarchy difficult. Either you're like unconventionally attractive, or you're a little weird, or you're nerdy, or you have like odd interests. So it's like the majority of people won't won't subscribe. So it's like sigma males, they never really had the abundance of attention, affirmation, and praise of men. So they're not reliant or dependent on it. I think alpha males, it's like if they're conventionally attractive or respectable, or they have power in conventional ways, and like a lot of people affirm them, well, they get used to that that emotional substance, that the praise of men, the affirmation of men. They become reliant on it. It's like their worth is dependent on people ascribing them to be worthy, or affirming them. I think that's kind of like one of the pitfalls of being an alpha male. If you're like conventionally attractive and like the majority of women would say you're attractive, well, now it's like they get their validation by an abundance of women thinking that they're attractive. So then it's like if they become like conventionally, like unconventionally attractive, it's like, well, it's like a step down for them. They become dependent. They want to maintain their outward appearance, or they want to maintain pleasing the crowd. They become dependent on the crowd. I think that's like a pitfall for alphas, whereas sigmas, they don't really have that. Yeah, it's not like the majority of people would give them attention or praise or affirmation. So it's like they don't become reliant or dependent on that substance. So I think sigmas are self-governing and autonomous. They, the growth that they do and the maturity that they do, it's for their own good. It's not for the praise of men. They want to grow themselves. They're not doing, things performative. It's not like they're competing with anyone. It's like if they try to compete in that hierarchy, well, they're not going to be accepted anyway. So they're just trying to grow as a person for their own, of their own accord. So they're kind of self-governing and autonomous. They're not dependent on other people to validate them or affirm them. I think that's what puts them in like the sigma category. And there's like freedom in that. They're like, it's like you're free from people pleasing. It's like there are already ways in which you might not be pleasing to the majority of people. So it's like you're less bound to, that sin of people pleasing. Yeah. And if you fear man, you don't have freedom of speech if you fear man. Until you don't fear man, you don't really have freedom of speech. If you're afraid to say something because of how people will interpret it, well, you fear man. And if you fear man, you don't have freedom of speech, regardless of what the laws are in the country. So, yeah, I think sigmas don't really have like a fear of man. It's like they never had validation from the majority, so it's like there's nothing to lose. They're willing to speak their mind and operate independently and autonomously because they were never reliant on the crowd and on the majority. Yeah. So they have like confidence and assurance in themselves and who they are. It's not dependent on other people affirming them. It's who they are and, how they perceive themselves and what they know about themselves. Their confidence they're not relying on other people to define who they are. They're self-defined, they're autonomous. And they define themselves in the eyes of God. Whereas alphas, I think alphas are reliant on followers and supporters. So I know alphas might present themselves as king, but in reality, I think the crowd is their king. I think alphas are dependent on followers and supporters and being validated by them and being affirmed by them. Whereas sigmas, it's like they don't have followers. They're just, they're not seeking a platform. They're not seeking influence. They're not seeking control or followers or anything like that. It's like, yeah. So it's like they're not dependent on other people. Whereas alphas, if they have a large following, well, then it's like they might restrain from saying something because they don't want to lose their following, or they might, be given over to like man pleasing, and they're not free at that point. They're bound to the thoughts and opinions of man. I think alphas are, at least. So I think sigmas are free of that, so that's why I think sigmas are greater. Other things about Jobby, I don't remember hearing Jobby complain about anything ever. I don't remember hearing Jobby speak evil about anyone ever. I have no remembrance of Jobby ever sinning. He could be sinless. I've never seen him sin. I don't remember him sinning in any way. He could be sinless for all I know, free of corruption. I have heard minor complaints about Jobby from his roommates, like with the AC. Jobby owned his house. He had tenants, but he kept his AC at like 80. And when his roommates brought it up, Jobby's response was, "Take off your socks." So those are like the minor complaints about Jobby that I've heard from his roommates. Maybe the AC thing is valid. Maybe he could have been considerate and turned the AC down for the benefit of those he has authority over. Maybe that's one way Jobby could grow, but I don't think it's sin for him to not do that. It's just, a lack of... It's like one way he could grow, but maybe there's a good reason. Maybe it was like motivation. You want cold air? Well, do better at your job and grow and mature as a man so you can buy your own apartment and you can set it to whatever AC you want. It's like comfort is the enemy of progress. So maybe Jobby was like, you know what, I'm just going to make this environment as discomfortable as I can to motivate these men to mature. You want AC in the 70s so bad? You want a subscription to ESPN Sports? Go do better at your job. It's like putting someone in a state of discomfort. Well, that'll motivate them to want to do better. It's like, man, I want to get my own place so bad. It's I need to start picking up some extra shifts. It's like, you want comfort? Well, start working for it. So you know what? Maybe Jobby is just perfect. Even in that, in denying them the comfort of cool air, that could have been an act of love from Jobby. So, yeah. So minor complaints about Jobby from his roommates, but I've never heard Jobby complain about any of his roommates, and I'm sure Jobby had material. Like if Jobby wanted to vent about his roommates, I'm sure he wasn't in want of material. It's not like Jobby didn't complain because there was nothing to complain about. I'm sure Jobby had much material where he could vent and complain about his roommates if he wanted to. But I've never heard Jobby complain about any of his roommates. And then there was one conversation at a fellowship. It was when I was at the Mosleys and the Walkers were there. I think it might have been somewhere else, but they were talking to, I think it was talking about marriage, and they're talking to Ron Mosley about living with Jobby, how it was, helpful living with Jobby, how Jobby helped Ron Mosley in a sense that helped him be prepared for marriage. And Ron Mosley was saying how it's like, how do you know when you're ready for marriage? And Ron Mosley was like, you're ready for marriage when Jobby says you're ready for marriage. When Jobby decides you're ready for marriage, then you can get married. So I thought that was funny for Ron Mosley to say that about Jobby. Yeah, Jobby's great. So here's more pictures of Jobby. And if someone was to observe Jobby, at first glance, one might think like he's a miser. He has an abundance of wealth, but he's withholding. He doesn't spend it on himself. Like if you're selfish with yourself, you're going to be selfish towards others. If someone is not willing to spend their money on themselves, well, they're not willing to spend their money on you. And I think at first glance, someone might look at Jobby and it's like, he's really selfish with himself. He's not willing to spend money on himself. But I don't think that's the case with Jobby. I think it's just practical for Jobby. And it's about, using resources wisely. And it's like the extra money, I don't think the value added for Jobby is worth the extra cost in certain things. So like one example is eating out at restaurants. I don't think Jobby's against it, but with Jobby, another thing about Jobby is he's always running. If he has to go from A to B, he's gonna run. Even if it's like 20 yards indoors, he's constantly running. Some times barefoot outside. So Joby eats a lot. He needs a lot of calories. And when he goes to restaurants, typically he has to order 2 entrees. So with Joby, it's not like he's against eating out or spending his money at restaurants. It's just practically, if he goes out to eat at a restaurant, he's also going to have to take his container of spaghetti. He's going to need to bring additional carbs because the portions at restaurants, even with the higher prices, it's not going to be adequate. It's not going to provide the adequate, calories and nutrition that Joby needs to fuel his body. So, like at first glance, it might look like Joby would be against going out to restaurants, doing fun things, buying things that are nice, but I don't think that's the case with Joby. I think Joby would be willing to spend his money on bringing other people joy, like with the stationery thing. I don't think Joby has a particular heightened interest in stationery the way that me and Esther do, but he was excited that we were excited, and it brought him joy to see that we were joyful over this thing. So if Joby's money is able to bring joy to another person, it's like, well, even if that thing doesn't bring joy to him, I think he'd be willing to use his money on others, knowing that it brings joy to you. I just think for him, it's not worth the additional money. So that's a picture of us having steak in Guatemala. There's Edgar in the back. So Joby is willing to spend his money on like restaurants and like, nice things. I don't think he would be like selfish towards a wife. So Rachel, you should be interested in Joby. Joby, you're not against arranged marriages from what I remember from when we had. That's another thing about Joby. Joby, we've had conversations about his family, and they were genuine and sincere. And like conversations that he has with his parents, and he has a sister, and he has actual relationships with his family, good relationships. Yeah, I think me and Joby have like a meaningful friendship. So we would talk about, his family. I don't know if I've ever talked to him about my family, but I don't know why I started saying that. Joby's a real person. Rachel, so the arranged marriage. Joby, I don't think you're against arranged marriages. I think it's part of your culture. I could declare it right now if you wanted. I could say the words, and Joby and Rachel could be married. I could declare it. It's like the other Office quote with Michael when he declares bankruptcy in his office. Yeah. I think this would actually work. I think if you talk to Ryan, like Ryan knows you, Ryan knows Rachel, I think maybe he would agree. Like you could just go into this blindly as an arranged marriage, and I think it would work. I think it'd be a good fit from what I know. I don't know Rachel too in depth, but from what I've seen myself, and from what Ryan has spoken about her, and from what I know about Joby, I think it'd be a great fit. I think that union would glorify the living God. So Joby, I would pursue that if I were you. Yep. So there's Joby spending money on himself. I don't think he's a miser. I don't think he's because it's like some men take pride in how much money they make, but if they're selfish, who gives a flying flip? It's not. If the man is selfish, it doesn't matter how much money he has. It doesn't matter what his job is. If he's selfish, it's of no value to the woman. So it's like, I don't think Joby is selfish. Yeah. And there's a picture of him with Levi as a baby. He loves kids. And it's, Joby doesn't have like a particular interest of where he like wants to engage in kids of his own accord, but kids always want to engage with Joby. Same thing with dogs. Joby's not a dog person, but whenever he's at a fellowship, it's like that if there's a dog, it's like that dog is interested in Joby. So babies love him, animals love him. I remember when we were at Guatemala and Benjamin was a baby, we would come back. This was in the 2017 trip. We would come back and Benjamin would be like, "Where's Joby?" Kids love him. Joby likes kids too, but it's not like he's actively seeking them out. The kids are always actively seeking out Jobby, and Jobby is responding graciously to the children. He's a cool guy. He's a great catch, Rachel. If you're interested, I think he's definitely worth getting to know. And Jobby, if you're looking around Florida and you're like, these Christian girls are basic, nothing is doing it for me, I need to get to know people outside of this small pool of options, I would say reach out to Rachel. Ryan should have her contact info. I could give you her number. There was a thought I had. I was like, well, maybe Jobby has blocked me, but then I was looking at her text, and there's actually read receipts, so you have read them, you've received them. So I don't think I'm blocked from Jobby. So I could give you her number also if you want to reach out. I think it's she's worth it. She's a gem. Jobby, I think you're a gem. I think it'd be a good match. So that answers the questions in regards to my thoughts and opinions on Jobby. Does Jobby serve God? Yeah, I think he does serve God. Again, Jobby, if there's ever a game you want to play or any way that I could serve you or be a blessing to you, I feel really bad. Yeah, it's just like those little things, you know, hindsight, where when you see things in perspective, and it's like with any other person that wouldn't be a big deal, of like, no, I'm not gonna use my mental strength to be a blessing to you in this way and learn this game that I have no interest in. But in regards to Jobby, where it's like he's perpetually blessing others, never complaining, never grumbling, never speaking evil, never talking about his own issues of having dysentery and the stomach flu in Guatemala. He just shows up and plays the guitar. He's never demanding people to be mindful of him or caring for him. So in that context, it makes me feel bad that I didn't put forth more effort to be a blessing to you in that way for that game. So if there's ever a way in which I can be a blessing to you of whatever strength that I have, let me know. Be blessed. I hope it works out with you and Rachel. Okay.